The air in the gilded shell was thick with the scent of seared scallops, expensive perfume, and familial obligation. It was my parents' 30th wedding anniversary, and the entire Novak clan, aunts, uncles, cousins, had gathered under the soft chandelier light to celebrate the enduring union of Robert and Evelyn, the golden couple. I, Maya, sat between my cousin Leo and great-aunt Ida, pushing truffle risotto around my plate. I was the reliable one, the quiet daughter, the one who showed up, who remembered birthdays, who coordinated the gift from all the siblings, my older brother Mark, his wife Sarah, and my younger sister Chloe, the one who was always just there. The toasts had been made. Mark, the successful surgeon, had given a speech about legacy. Chloe, the social media influencer, had everyone in tears with a curated slideshow of authentic family moments. I had clapped and smiled, my role as audience member perfected over 3 decades. Then my father stood, tapping his crystal flute with a spoon. The room hushed. Robert Novak commanded silence effortlessly. "Evelyn and I are so touched," he began, his voice a warm, paternal rumble. 30 years. It's been a journey made beautiful by family. He reached for my mother's hand. She beamed up at him, the picture of devoted grace. "And to celebrate this milestone properly," he continued, his eyes twinkling, "we have a surprise. Next week we are all going to Hawaii. 2 weeks in a private villa in Maui. Our treat. Consider it a family reunion to top all reunions." A collective gasp of delight swept the table, whoops from my cousins, clapping. My sister Chloe squealed, "Oh my God, Instagram paradise!" My brother Mark grinned, already calculating which golf courses were nearby. Sarah started whispering about swimwear. Everyone was alight with excitement. A flicker of warmth sparked in my own chest. Hawaii. Sun, sea, a break from my grinding graphic design freelance work. A real vacation with my family. The first one we'd all taken together since I was a teenager. As the chatter died down slightly, I leaned forward, a genuine smile on my face. "That sounds amazing, Dad. What time's the departure next Saturday? I need to reschedule a client deadline." The table quieted. All eyes swung to my father. His smile didn't falter, but it hardened at the edges. He looked at me, and his gaze was the one he used on junior associates who asked foolish questions in board meetings. "The departure?" he repeated, as if the word itself was unfamiliar. He chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "Oh, Maya, you don't need to know the departure time." He paused, letting the silence stretch. "Because you're not coming." The words didn't compute at first. They bounced off me. I blinked. "I'm sorry?" My mother patted the air, a placating gesture. "Sweetheart, with all the children, Mark and Sarah's 3, Chloe's new baby, we'll need someone responsible here to manage things. Feed the dogs, water the plants, collect the mail. You're so good at that sort of thing. You don't mind, do you?" She said it like she was offering me a privilege, the honored role of household custodian. The warmth in my chest turned to ice, then shattered into a million piercing shards. I looked around the table. Mark was studying his wine glass. Sarah was suddenly fascinated by her napkin. Chloe was avoiding my eyes, bouncing her baby on her knee. Not a single person objected, not a murmur of, "That's not fair." They'd known. They'd all known I wasn't included. This family trip was for the real family. The parents, the son with the impressive career, the daughter with the picture-perfect life, and their offspring. I was the spinster aunt, the utility player, the one who stayed behind to hold the fort while the real family went on adventures. My father mistook my stunned silence for acquiescence. "It's settled then. You'll hold the fort. We've already emailed you the list of duties and the house keys." That was the final blow. The list. The keys. They'd planned my exclusion with the same meticulous detail as the villa booking. I wasn't an afterthought. I was a deliberately excised component. For 30 years, I had played my part. The accommodating daughter, the uncomplaining sister. I had swallowed every slight, every taken-for-granted moment because I thought that's what love required, that my quiet presence was my contribution to the family ecosystem. But this wasn't a slight, this was an eviction, a public declaration that I was not part of the entire family. I was the help. All the years of swallowed words, buried hurts, and discounted feelings coalesced into a single, towering wave inside me. The heat of shame was burned away by a cold, clarifying fury. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I slowly placed my napkin on the table. I pushed my chair back. The sound was loud in the silent, expectant room. Everyone stared. My father's eyebrow raised in mild annoyance at the disruption. My mother's smile was strained. I looked at my father, then my mother, then let my gaze travel around the table, meeting each pair of eyes that quickly darted away. Then I spoke. My voice was low, steady, and carried with it the weight of 30 decades of silence. "Congratulations on 30 years, I said, my eyes locked on my parents. "You've taught me everything I need to know about what family shouldn't be. Consider my tenure as your live-in concierge terminated effective immediately. Enjoy Hawaii. Don't bother sending a postcard." I didn't wait for a reaction. I turned and walked out of the dining room, my heels clicking a steady, final rhythm on the polished floor. The last thing I heard before the heavy door swung shut behind me was the sound of my mother's wineglass hitting the floor and a perfect, absolute silence. The cold night air of the parking lot was a slap, waking me from the surreal nightmare of the dinner. My hands trembled as I fumbled for my keys, not from sadness, but from the seismic release of a truth held too long. My phone began to vibrate in my purse before I'd even started the car, a cascade of notifications, the family group chat blowing up. Mom, "Maya, come back inside this instant. You're being hysterical." Chloe, "OMG, Maya, that was so embarrassing. You ruined their night." Mark, "Uncalled for. Apologize to Dad." Dad, "Your emotional outburst is noted. We will discuss your disrespect later." I didn't reply. I drove to my apartment, a small, bright space that was wholly, unequivocally mine. I made a cup of tea, my movements methodical. Then I began to work. First, I blocked every single family member on my phone and all social media. The digital silence was immediate and profound. Second, I went to my filing cabinet. I pulled out the folder labeled Novak Family. Inside were documents I'd kept out of a sense of duty, but which now represented chains. The property deed for my parents' house, which I co-signed for to help them refinance when my father's business had a hiccup. The login information for all their household utilities, which were in my name because you're so organized, Maya. The schedule for my sister's dog walker, which I managed and paid for. The contact list for my brother's kid's pediatrician, dentist, and piano teacher, all calls that funneled to me because Sarah was so busy. I had built the infrastructure of their lives for them, and for my service, I was rewarded with exile. I drafted emails, not emotional, just factual. To my parents' lawyer, a contact I had from the refinancing, I sent a scanned copy of the deed and a formal request to begin the process of removing my name from it, citing my permanent change of residence and non-ownership interest. To the utility companies, I submitted change of account holder forms, effective in 72 hours, transferring all responsibilities to my father's name and email. To the dog walker, the gardeners, the pool service, I sent brief notices of termination of my management services, providing Robert Novak's contact information for future correspondence. To Mark and Sarah, I emailed the pediatrician contacts and a simple line: "Your children's schedules are now your responsibility. Best of luck." To Chloe, I sent nothing. Her baby was not my orbit.
Finally, I packaged up the spare keys to my parents' house, my brother's house, and my sister's apartment, keys I'd held for emergencies that were always their emergencies, never mine, and I dropped them in a priority mail envelope addressed to my father at his office. The entire process took 4 hours. When I was done, I felt weightless. I had systematically dismantled the prison they'd built around me, brick by administrative brick. The fallout began at dawn. My father called from his office line. I hadn't blocked that one. I wanted to hear this. His voice was no longer paternal, but sputtering with apoplectic rage. "What the hell is this? The gas company just called me. The lawyer is asking for documents. Have you lost your mind?" "No," I said calmly. "I've found my sanity. You said I wasn't part of the family. I'm simply acting accordingly. You are all adults. You can manage your own lives." "You will undo this. You will apologize." "I won't, and if you continue to harass me, the next call will be to the HR department at your firm with a query about the ethical implications of using a junior employee to manage your personal domestic affairs for the last 5 years. I knew for a fact he'd had his assistant do the same things. It was a bluff, but he was a man for whom reputation was everything. He hung up on me. My mother tried guilt. "After everything I sacrificed for you, I carried you for 9 months. And you've held it over me for 30 years. The debt is paid. Goodbye, Mother." Chloe showed up at my apartment crying. "How could you do this? Now I have to find my own dog walker." "Welcome to adulthood," I said, and closed the door. Mark, ever pragmatic, sent one final text. "You've burned a bridge you may need one day." I replied, "It was a drawbridge, and I have raised it." A week later, from the scattered social media posts I glimpsed through a friend's account, they left for Hawaii. The photos showed them forcedly smiling at the airport, my father looking harried, my mother strained. The villa was stunning, but the comments from extended family were sparse, awkward. The story of my annihilation had gotten out, and it had tarnished their golden anniversary shine. While they were gone, I did something for myself. I booked a trip, not to Hawaii, to Iceland, a place of stark, beautiful, solitary landscapes. I paid for it with the money I'd saved from not buying them lavish gifts, from not subsidizing their lives. As I boarded my flight to Reykjavik, my phone buzzed with one last email from my father's lawyer. The deed transfer was proceeding. My formal ties were being severed. I put my phone in airplane mode. I looked out at the vast sky. For the first time in my life, I was untethered, and it didn't feel like falling. It felt like flying.
Iceland was a baptism by ice and fire. I hiked glaciers alone, the silence a profound companion. I soaked in geothermal lagoons under the aurora borealis, the colors dancing across the sky like a celebration just for me. There were no lists, no duties, no expectations. There was only the landscape and my own breath. I began to remember who I was when I wasn't defined by my utility to others. When I returned, tanned and settled into my own skin, there was a single registered letter waiting. It was from my parents' lawyer, confirming the completion of the deed transfer and formally releasing me from all financial ties to the property. It felt like a divorce decree. It felt like freedom. Life moved on. My design business flourished with the new energy and time I poured into it. I made new friends, chosen family who liked me for my wit, my creativity, my quiet steadiness, not for what I could do for them. About 6 months after the dinner, I received an email from my Aunt Louisa, my mother's younger sister, who had always been kind but distant. "Maya, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I had to write. What your parents did, it was unconscionable. Many of us saw it, but no one had the courage to speak up. I'm sorry for my silence. If you're ever open to it, I'd love to have coffee. No strings, no family drama, just coffee." It was the first olive branch that didn't feel like a noose. I accepted. Over lattes, Aunt Louisa was refreshingly honest. Your father, he's a man who sees people as assets or liabilities. You were never a liability, but you were never a trophy asset like Mark or Chloe. You were infrastructure, and people never appreciate infrastructure until it's gone. She told me the Hawaii trip had been tense and miserable, shadowed by my absence and the logistical chaos my withdrawal had caused. It served them right, she said with a wry smile. She became my one fragile link to my bloodline, a relationship based on mutual respect, not obligation. A year to the day after the anniversary dinner, my father showed up at my studio. He looked older, diminished. The corporate bluster was gone. "We're selling the house," he said without preamble, standing awkwardly in the doorway. "Downsizing." "I'm aware. The lawyer copied me on the sale notice." I didn't invite him in. He nodded, looking at his shoes. The trip, it wasn't the same. I remained silent. He finally met my eyes. "Your mother, she misses you." "Does she?" I asked, not unkindly but without warmth. "Or does she miss someone to manage her calendar?" He had no answer. That was answer enough. I didn't come to ask for anything, which was a lie, but a new kind of lie, one that acknowledged he had no right to ask. I just wanted to see you. "You've seen me," I said. I held his gaze until he looked away. He nodded once, turned, and left. That was the last time we spoke. Some bridges, once burned, reveal they were only ever footpaths over swamps. Better ground lay elsewhere. Now, 2 years later, I am sitting in my own living room, in a bigger apartment I bought myself. I am planning a trip with friends, to Greece this time. My business has won awards. My life is full, on my own terms. The family photos on my mantle are of me and my friends, of me and Aunt Louisa, of a stunning Icelandic glacier. There is one old photo of me as a child, laughing, a reminder of the person I was before I learned to shrink. My parents' anniversary came and went last week. I didn't call. I didn't send a card. I spent the day hiking with a man I'm dating, who asked thoughtful questions and listened to the answers. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say isn't a scream of pain, but a quiet statement of fact that reshapes the universe around you. I didn't just walk away from that dinner table. I walked into my own life, and I discovered that family isn't a title bestowed by blood or ritual. It's a sacred circle drawn by respect, love, and the unwavering choice to see each other, really see each other, and to say, always, "You belong here with us." They told me I wasn't part of us, so I built a new us. And it is everything they promised but failed to deliver.